to the Best Missouri Hands. Everybody, welcome to the Best Missouri Hands Professional Development Workshop. And we're very fortunate this month to have Barbara Phillips with us. She's a juried Best Missouri Hands photographer, and she's pretty skilled in the art of AI, and she's going to talk to us today about that and how, as artists, we can utilize that to help us um, with everyday tasks and things to make our life a little easier. So if you have questions, please raise your hand and Barbara will answer those. She also has a handout that she's probably going to put in chat and she'll put in the group. This is being recorded, so this will go up on the Best Missouri Hands YouTube channel later today or tomorrow. So thank you again for being here. Wanda, thank you for helping out. So Barbara, appreciate you being here. I'm going to let you go ahead and do an introduction and get started.
Okay, dokie. So, hello everyone. I'm Barbara Phillips, and as Kim said, I'm a juried photographer with Best Missouri Hands. In my other life, I'm a healthcare professional and I do a lot of teaching, and I do teach people how to use AI in their businesses, not only to build their businesses, but to do marketing and stuff as well. So, I I have to admit that I'm probably a techie in that I'm an early adopter. I will try anything. I'm not good at everything. Some things I lose interest in. Um, but computers is something. The first time I saw a picture in a National Geographic of these rooms of computers, I was sold on some of the stuff that it could do and how it could help us. They're not perfect, and they never will be because we make them. And AI will never be perfect because we train it. And I think we need to remember that. So I'm going to share some slides here. And I did put the PDF of this is actually in the chat. And then we'll have it with the replay as well. So let me move this around because now I don't see anybody. There we go. So, what I really want to bring home is with this, so many artists are either fearful of AI or they hate the idea of AI. They think that AI is going to replace what they're doing or that AI is cheating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whenever we have something new, we kind of adopt that frame of mind. Even when photography came out, people thought that photography was cheating, it wasn't real art, et cetera, et cetera. Then we went from film to digital, and it was the same thing. So we're now doing that with AI. Now, I'm not talking about creating your art in AI, but I'm talking about how you can use it to do all the things that you want, including just helping you with your copy, writing grant proposals for yourself, finding residencies if that's what you want to do, helping you build your business, helping you market your business, and just helping you brainstorm. There's a lot of different things that you can do with ChatGPT. Excuse me, how do I stop that? I don't know who that is. Okay, hopefully you don't hear that. I didn't see a decline. Um, okay, so think of AI as your creative partner. Okay, it's a tool, totally just a tool. And I'm talking about Chat GPT, but um, it's not the only tool that is out there. And by the way, these tools change on a daily basis, just about. I got an email from somebody this morning and they were talking about something that I've never even heard of, a new AI platform. So they're just always changing and there's different kinds. I like this idea of thinking of it as not only a studio assistant, but a business assistant. This can be our employee, if you will. And I use it all the time. In fact, this presentation, I used ChatGPT to help me put it together. And it really gave me some ideas that I hadn't even thought about. So I think that if we just remember it is a tool, it's not replacing us, then I think we're good. These are just some of the things that ChatGPT can help you with. And I'm going to refer to ChatGPT going forward as Chatty because that's my nickname for this platform. But it can help you write your statements. Nobody likes to write their statements. Nobody likes to talk about themselves or to write their bios or any of that. It's the hardest thing. I do a lot of public speaking and I have a horrible time writing a bio about me. And I have to do that for every single presentation and I hate it. So this is something that can be very helpful. It can help you with naming your artwork and describing it. And this is something that I do use a lot, and I'm going to show you how I use that. But coming up with unique names is difficult for me anyway. And so this is a way to get some ideas. And it's a back and forth conversation, and I'll show you that. Marketing your art, this is great for coming up with your stuff on social media. You can even use it to bulk create stuff on social media. If you do blog posts or you're writing emails, which everybody should in their business have an email list and be writing emails to their collectors and potential collectors. You can get ideas. I do this all the time. If you teach, you can certainly use it to help you create programs and courses, and you can do a lot of communication things and just so much more. But the thing to remember is whatever you put into ChatGPT and whatever Chatty gives you back, you need to edit it so that it is your voice. These things are trainable, but it's you still have to do the work. And I find it's much better if I can write something up, then put it into ChatGPT and then ask it to help me tighten it up or to make it sound more professional or whatever. What, Kim? You got a question?
Oh, yes, I do. It sounds like you write numerous bios. And so do you have chat, like tweak it to the group that you're providing your bio to? Because I've
I
had
do.
one bio for like, okay,
I,
okay,
I
so
do
that's
because when
that's a
I'm speaking for different organizations and stuff or on different topics, I need to accentuate that part.
okay.
So if I'm talking to nurse practitioners about a certain aspect of business, then I'd like to bring forth that part that I've already done to kind of show some credibility as to what I'm able to do for them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So these are just some of the other things. Some of it we've talked about. I think grant writing is really something that we need to explore as an organization with this. Um, People wonder about, the whole SEO with their websites and stuff, and it can certainly help you with that. Um, if you're a writer, Kim, you can get some creative writing prompts. You can certainly do some editing and tone adjustments, and that doesn't mean that you're just giving Chatty your whole manuscript and having it edit it, but it's a back and forth. This is a collaborative effort. People who do performance art can certainly help with some of the scripts and the different things that they're doing. So this is just a small list, and this can just go so many different ways. You can run your business with this commission agreements, time management, productivity, business plans, all of those kinds of things that you can start using. And when we come to business plans, it's really easy. Now, when throughout this presentation, you're going to see things in quotes. Those are sample prompts that you can use. Okay. And let me back up here. A prompt. A prompt is what you give Chat GPT or any other AI program so that it can start working for you. The more detailed your prompt, the more specific your prompt, you'll get a better answer. If you just say, write me a business plan, it's not going to know what the heck to do. It'll start asking you some questions like what kind of business, what are your goals, those kinds of things to help get you in that ballpark. But it can, depending on what you want it, give you these kinds of things: your marketing strategies, your action plans, your customer profile, revenue streams, how to diversify your revenue. And, that can be another question that you ask. As artists, we know that just finding collectors to purchase our art is only one source of income, and sometimes we need other sources of income. So what are some of the things that you want to do? Like Wanda, I don't know if you've ever done like teaching on the glass. That is certainly a way that you could diversify your income as well. Or a lot of times, some artists will create merch with their stuff. Like I have tote bags with my photography on them, that kind of thing. So there's different things that you can do. And actually, somebody recently asked me if I could make my photographs into puzzles. And yeah, you can do that if that's what you want to do. But this will help you generate some ideas. Yeah, Kim.
Um, okay, so you're saying like you use Chat GPT to help you create merchandise with your photos? How did you do that?
No, not to create the merchandise with the photos, but if I'm putting in there, how can I diversify my income as an abstract photographer, which is part of what I do, and it can give me those different directions, those different suggestions, not directions. To get merch from my photographs, you can use something like Printify. Um, you've talked about one before, Spoonflower or something like that. I've never used that one.
Our Cafe
Yeah,
Paris.
there's
Yeah.
there's a number of print on demand that you can upload your artwork to and design a piece, a t-shirt, a tote bag, a towel, a puzzle, a shower curtain, whatever you want to do with it. So you definitely can do that. And the nice thing, I mean, print on demand, that's a whole different topic we can talk about another time. But, the nice thing about that is when you go to create that, you don't even have to spend any money until somebody buys it, which is a nice thing. And actually, you're not spending the money, they're ordering it, they pay for it into, say, Printify or something, and then you get your portion of it after everything is settled. Pricing, nobody knows what to price their art. And this is something that I would take with a grain of salt and really kind of tweak it. Because when you look at your art, so for instance, regional price differences. I had a conversation with somebody at Columbia Art League a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about pricing and what things sold for in the St. Louis area versus Columbia are not the same things. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at pricing. This one I think is good. We also have we get people wanting a discount on our art. So how do we make a response to that? And how can you make that sound professional? I get people all the time asking me to sit down and do coaching sessions with them. And this is in my other life, obviously, but I can't do that for free. As many times as people have asked me to do that, and as often as that happens, I would not be able to pay my bills if I did all of those. So you need to come up with a way. We're not good at saying no a lot of times. So how do we do that and still keep it professional and in integrity? So as you can see, there's just a whole lot of different things that you can use with this. What happened here? There we go. Marketing strategy. This is something that I think is really good because marketing is something none of us does as well as we could be doing it. And marketing is something that we can never stop doing. It has to be all the time. And we find that it can be so time consuming. One of the things that I did, and I need to do it again because I let it lapse, but I actually sat down with Chatty and I asked for, what did I ask for? I asked for 50 quotes on creativity in art. It gave me those quotes. I tweaked a few of them. I also I had asked for whoever made the quote, the author's name. And then I took those quotes that I got, I took them into Canva. I created a template. I paired them with my images, and I had 50 posts ready to go that I could pre-schedule in Meta. So they went to Instagram and to Facebook. And so, I mean, those are once you do that, you spend a few hours doing that, and then you've got those posts. Oops, sorry about that. You've got those posts. And like Wanda, I see you post a lot of times daily inspiration. You can pre-schedule that kind of stuff. You can even take your daily inspirations, which are usually nature shots. And one of these days I'll talk to you about Banff. But you can find a quote that has to do with perhaps glass art or something about your process to put with that, or just how you approach your art and your creativity. And so it brings in that image that may not be yours, but it also brings it back to your business. And so that's another way that you can do this, but you can do it in bulk and save yourself a heck of a lot of time. As you can see, you can have your email newsletter with your content already done up. You can have blog post topics, and with blog posts, because I've done this, people say, "Oh, I'll just have AI write my blog posts." No, don't do that. Don't do that. Come up with your ideas or have it help you with some ideas. Write something up so that it sounds like you, and then it can finesse it for you. Your website obviously is really good. So here's something with artist bios, as we were talking, you can have it write it in some different tones so that you can use it depending on the type of event that you need to put it on. So if it is a real formal gallery type thing, maybe you want something that sounds more professional. If it's maybe some kind of a whimsical fair that you're going to be participating in, maybe you want it to sound whimsical or maybe a little poetic, that kind of thing. So again, those ideas. Client and gallery outreach. How do you write those follow-up emails when somebody asks you for different things? How do you make those thank you notes sound better? How do you, again, we mentioned grants and residencies. Those are different things that you can do. How do you approach a gallery if you're wanting to inquire? This can certainly help you do that. And I think this is important. And this is something I haven't created the right spreadsheet yet, but I'm trying to figure out good ways. And like I said, this hasn't worked yet for me, but to create a spreadsheet to track where my art is. Where is it located? What images do I have at the Columbia Art League? Which images do I have at Serendipity? Which images are going to this business? Which ones have I sold? What did I sell them for? And yes, there are programs that are already out there that you would have to pay for to do some of that, but the ones that I've looked at doesn't do it quite the way that I want it to do. So this is something that can help you. The checklists. That checklist, not only for prepping, shipping, and documenting pieces that are sold, but getting ready for an art fair or getting ready to do some kind of event. When we do Art Smart, this would probably be something that would be very helpful with as well. What are some of the different things that we need to do at Art Smart, and how do we put that together? Oops.
That's a good
So,
idea.
yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that we can use, not just how we, um, the workings of Best of Missouri Hands, but just for our own businesses. Now, something that I did not too long ago was, I mean, this wasn't the example that I did, but I put something into Chatty to find out how I might move forward on something. I had an idea for some art pieces because I'm starting to play a lot in multimedia art, and I wasn't quite sure how I needed to approach it. And so this is an example of that. So if I wanted to create a large abstract piece using whatever medias, and you can put that in there, having a certain emotional theme, and it can help me brainstorm then the different things that I could do. So it might give me like, here's the output, can include like visual metaphors, how I might layer my textures or the torn fabrics, are they stitched together, or, is it different kind of other types of texture that I might use, the colors, composition ideas, those kinds of things. It can also help me plan my process and the materials that I might need. So again, you put all of that information in, and it can actually help you with a step-by-step plan. It can make suggestions for product. It can certainly the safety reminders. A lot of people like to use, say, if I was using resins and different kinds of epoxies, then it might want to remind me to wear a mask, or, being outside, that kind of thing. And it can also help me with timelines. It can go further then and help me with some of my statements, because one of the things for all of us, especially when we're on Instagram or any of the social medias, if you can start putting your art out there as work in progress, it engages people and it keeps them coming back to seeing how things are going to progress. But it can help you create that documentation that you need and the language, and you can see what's landing, if you will, with your potential buyers, and then start reusing it and fine tuning that. Again, I've already mentioned it can help you with the social media documentation, which sometimes I see people, because I'm one of the ones sharing our work on Instagram. I see people, they don't even write any kind of a caption. And that's just lost opportunity, huge lost opportunity. So if you don't know how to write something, or you're stuck for words, you can definitely get some suggestions. And it'll also give you suggestions for hashtags. It does this really well. Um, if you need to write up more for submission and that kind of thing, it can help you with that. And it can certainly help you with time management. And I'm going a little bit fast. You guys will have all these slides, and they're actually in the chat now. So some of the different prompts that you can use. And again, remember I said you need to be more specific, is as specific as you can. Write a 100-word bio for a sculptor focused on environmental themes. I would probably go a little bit further in that. What kind of a sculptor? Are my pieces big or small, or something like that? And describe a painting that evokes memory using warm tone. Yeah, it can describe it for you, but again, I would be a little bit more specific. The Instagram captions, that's something that is so easy to do. We've talked about the bios. Um, and then when you don't know what to do, you can also ask it to help you to get beyond those creative blocks that you may have. This is the difference between free and paid on ChatGPT as of today. Okay, like I said, these things change all the time. You've got the free, the thing about the free is, and I used the free for a very short time, and this is when it first came out. And so we would be limited. I'd not be able to get into it for maybe 12 hours because there were a lot of people on it and that sort of thing, which is when I went to the paid, and I paid $20 a month for ChatGPT. And I'm amazed at some of the stuff that it's able to do. But I don't have any kind of limits. I'm not told I can't use it now, come back later, or you've already used your allotted free time for this period of time. Here are some of the other tools that are out there. I'm not going to go into too much detail. These are the more common ones that you see. So ChatGPT, what it's good at for artists, what Claude is good at. I like Claude. Claude tends to sound more human to me, but there's things that you can't do with it, at least with the free version. Okay, so I use the paid ChatGPT. I use the others as free. One that I don't have on here is it's the Microsoft one that is in their their browser. Sorry, I'm blanking out on the name. That's a good one if you wanted to try to mock up some images or to create some images just to get some ideas. Anybody know the name of that? I'm blanking out on Microsoft because I don't use it. Perplexity is not good for art, really, but it is good for research because it'll give you the where did it get this? Where is the
Jen says the name of its Copilot.
okay, it's not Copilot. On the browser, Copilot is within the Microsoft like 365 and stuff, but on the browser, there is a program. I know a lot of people have talked about it, and I'm just blanking out on it right now. Sorry. If I'll see if I can find it later.
Barbara, where you say visual plus text support, is that where you can put in an image and it would help you with titling and description?
Yes, I'm gonna show you how to do that.
Okay, thank you.
The bottom line is in terms of thinking about AI, just it's not going to replace you. It is a tool. It is something that you can use, and it can help you really manage the back end so that you can get back to your canvas, your camera, your glass, whatever you're doing. And I think it's something, this is not going away. So embrace it, use it, play with it. Don't let it be your voice, though. Make sure your voice stays in there. So I'm going to switch over to, let me stop the screen share. Where is that? Okay. Oh, good. I got through that. Are there any questions while I am doing this here?
There's some questions in the chat
Okay.
that you want me to read them out loud, or?
Yeah, that would be
There you
good
go.
while I find and open up ChatGPT.
Jane said that regarding discounts, she usually says something like, I'm not in the gallery here, so I can offer a 20% discount because I don't have to pay the gallery fees here. Well, I'm not at a
That's a
show,
good
someone
answer.
showed my images. She says I'm a photographer and I'm horrible about tracking my inventory. I think a lot of us can probably relate to that.
Mhm.
And I know, Barbara, at the beginning, you said that, you know, people have a fear of, AI, or that, they're afraid it's gonna just replace us or whatever. And that I had those fears. That was definitely me. And it was due to your encouragement, because I was in a kind of a funk and stuck and not knowing, because I was trying to rebrand and stuff. And so, due to your encouragement, I did get on the free version of ChatGPT, and it helped me with like creating some brand colors and fonts and stuff like that. And I found the more that I put into it, that it like got to know me. And it would come back with questions. Well, do you want this to sound more like this or that? Or, do you want your colors more earthy or whatever? But I mean, so it was like an assistant sitting there having a back and forth conversation. And so I've lost a lot of my fear, and I appreciate you for pushing me off the wall there. So
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Uh, this is LaDonna, and I have a couple of comments. One on ChatGPT and AI, and that is I do use a free version, but I save up everything that I need to do, and I do it all in one day. And then when it tells me I don't have any more, then the next day I will finish up what I needed before. So it requires planning ahead if you want to not invest in the $20 a month, which at this point I'm not going to, but that's one way I use it. And then I use my split screen to put up what I wrote. I always write my own stuff first. And I agree with what Barbara's saying. Don't let it write your stuff for you. Write your own thing first and then plug it into ChatGPT and see what it says. And then, so I do a split screen with my original work and ChatGPT's version, and I read ChatGPT and insert the adjectives or whatever, or change things. Usually mine is changing things around because I to get a better flow and continuity.
Mhm.
And so I use ChatGPT for that, but I would strongly discourage you from just cutting and pasting ChatGPT into whatever you're doing. You need to write your
Absolutely.
own first. Yeah. And then on the pricing thing, a gallery, if you're giving % off, if the galleries find out about that, they're not going to be very happy about it. So I would caution you about that method, because you're undercutting the gallery when you do that. And you're also undercutting other artists who are charging this, who are in a gallery, because many galleries will say that you can't undercut them like that. So
Mhm.
just a word of caution there. And then on the inventory, I mean, on the tracking where your inventory is, Barbara, that you said you hadn't got to, I have found on my inventory sheet, I just add a column. And the column is, where's my art, basically. And I just add it to my inventory sheet and just put it by whatever's there. I put where it is, and that way I also know when I'm preparing for a show what I have in-house and what I don't.
Right.
And so that was the easiest way. That way you don't need a separate spreadsheet to track where your art is. And you also know what you have in inventory available to sell.
Yeah, I have, and right now I'm doing that in Google Sheets. I just want it to be a little more, I want it to, I want to be able to, I've been using a lot of Notion, and this is probably where it comes from, but if I change one thing here, it changes it somewhere else so that I can actually see snapshots of things. And so that's what I've been trying
I
to do, but I do have lots of columns in these
Yeah, I
spreadsheets.
just use an
I just
Excel
find them
spreadsheet.
too
I don't use,
confusing.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, thank you. I
There's
really agree with you about do your own stuff first, LaDonna, and then put it in.
there is another question
Thank
in
you.
chat from Jane. What are your opinions about using AI to enhance photographic images, if I could talk?
Oh,
You know, um, I guess it really depends. Is it so I'm assuming, Jane, you're talking about Photoshop. And I think we've had some of that in Photoshop for years. Like, what am I trying to think of? Content aware. You've been able to take your pixels and maybe get rid of dust spots or whatever using content aware. So that's still going to be some AI, if you will. So it depends on what you're doing. I don't think I would, not that I do wildlife photography anyway, but I don't think that I would go in and, change the cat to a tiger, for instance, or things like that. I think when you start doing that, you're getting out of photography and into probably digital art a little bit more. I'm not really sure because I'm not quite sure about the definition of that. I have used it to enlarge an image at times when I need it to just move over a titch. So if my focal point ended up in the middle and I want it to be a little more to the left, I might enlarge with a little either content aware fill or generate that fill for the other side. So it's still using what I have, but it's not replacing what I had. I used Photoshop to add a bird and a bird cage to an image. And I use the content. Okay. Yeah, I think adding something, not so much. For me, that's just my definition. But I've used things to remove different things. you know, like spots and distractions and that kind of thing. So I think everybody has to make their own decision about it. But if it's manufactured, that's not for me. That's not for me.
I,
I did,
I
by the way,
think,
you guys, find the image generator that I was talking about is in Bing, and it's the Bing image generator. I've not used it, but I've heard really good things about it in terms of if you are going to get into AI generated art, that it's a good one and it's free. So it is something that maybe you can use to help spur some ideas.
and I think, like you said, Barbara, if you're adding things and stuff like that, I think it crosses over to the line of digital art, just like you said. I think that,
Mhm.
um, that I mean, I don't Photoshop, I don't know how and stuff like that, but I'm also shooting just farm animals and stuff. I want it just to be as natural as it is. So if there's a fly on the animal's nose, when I took the picture, when I sell the picture, the animal has the fly on the nose and stuff. So I don't do that kind of stuff. But yeah, like you said, when you're adding things, and digital art is an art. It's just,
Mhm.
I think it crosses the line out of photography, your basic photography and stuff. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
You know, if you
it's
think
all
of,
about, I'm sorry,
go
it's
ahead,
about
LaDonna.
transparent. It's about transparency. Are your buyers aware that you digitally modified it, or do they think they're buying the photograph? I think that has a lot to do with it too. How are you representing yourself?
You know, I have various different feelings about some of this. If we were in a dark room, I'm developing film in a dark room and I'm doing all kinds of manipulation in a dark room. Nobody ever questions it because I'm doing it in a dark room. To me, Lightroom and Photoshop are dark rooms. And if I'm, some of my photography now, I'm using my images, but maybe I'm layering them on top of one another. They're still my images, but I'm processing them differently instead of doing it in a dark room or by taking my slides like I used to and layering them together. Um, and I'm doing that in Photoshop. Is that taking me out of photography? I don't think so, since it's my photography that I'm using. So, um, but if I was painting, nobody would question me about, how many layers I might have or which mediums that I used on the photograph. So, that's
and I,
another discussion that we can go on for a long time. So I'm going
and
to
I think it's
show
just
you,
transparent.
pardon?
I think it's just transparency, being honest with the buyer and, putting out there on
Yeah.
your website or your social media, your processes or something like that. So, you know,
There's also the fact that you can go in and say to ChatGPT or any AI program, pretty much, uh, give me a picture of a dog chasing a car or something like that, and it will. And I know from writing conferences and slideshows I've seen, a lot of people do that. And what it does is it draws from all the images out there, including yours and mine, and puts it together for something for them to use. And like Barbara said, this is a whole new, I mean, we could spend an hour and a half or more on this, but there's also that aspect of AI
Mhm,
imaging.
mhm. There is. One of the things, just to briefly address that, because I've thought about this, and yes, it looks at everything that is out there, but we do that. We study other photographers, other artists. We look at the masters. A lot of times when we're learning, we learn by kind of copying.
That's
I mean, that's
true.
how they used to teach people. And so everybody's art that we have looked at also comes into here when we start creating our own art. And um, you know, yeah, we can take it to whatever extreme, but I think we have to keep in mind that we also this computer up here is also influenced by other artists.
That's a
Um,
valid point. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, we don't have a lot of time left, so I was going to show you guys what I do if I'm trying to create um, a title at least. So I'm going to drag in. Now I have, this is chat, um, the paid chat GPT. Okay. And so I can drag in a photo and I can ask for, and I'm just going to give it just a very high level thing. Please, I always write please, sorry about that. Please suggest 10 titles for this image. Okay, I'm not saying anything about the image or anything like that. And you can ask for 20, you can ask for 30, you know, whatever. So, you know, here are the what it gave me. And I might come in and say, let's see, please make them less poetic and more minimal. Oops, I misspelled. And I can get this. I can also say, please give me 10 more, that kind of thing. So, and I usually play around that. When I see something I like, I might say, let's see, continue with suggestions on, let's say, pastel bloom. I don't like that, but I'll put it in there anyway. They've given Chatty a personality these days, you know, so it comes back, oh, this is a great choice. Oh, you'll like that. Oh, I like your idea, this kind of thing. But anyway, whatever it is. So it gives me suggestions based on that. It also will suggest, you know, subtitles, captions, and it says, would you like help crafting a short description or an artist statement to accompany this piece? And I can say yes to both and see what happens. Yes, please, to both. And this is the kind of thing that it'll output. And of course, I'm not going to take this and just use it as is, but I'm going to maybe take it out, copy it onto, you know, a little text document or something, rewrite it the way that I like, edit it, put it back in, and see what I get. A lot of times I think I tend to be wordy if I don't do that, and I'll say, please make this more concise. Please bring this down to 100 words, you know, or less, you know, that type of thing. Does that give you guys some ideas on this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
I
find
really
that it's
like how,
really good about reducing the, like when you say bring it down to 100 words or things like that, do you think that it's very effective for that type
Yes.
of a thing?
Yes, I do. And I'll tell you, last year at Queenie, I helped with doing the social media posts. And one of the things where artists were told to have a, I don't remember the exact number, but let's just say a 50-word bio. And I would get bios that were 200 words. You know, and you can't use that in a social media post. And so I would take it into Chat GPT and I would say, please reduce this to 40 words. You know, and it summarizes it down and it did a good job. So that's one way I used it. So if you were one of those artists that had your work and you had a 200-word bio and it came out short, that's what I did. But you can do that with your own work as well. When I write emails to the nurse practitioners I work with, I will often say, please, you know, help me make this more concise or something like that. So it's still my work, but I bring it down. And then usually I have to tweak it
Right.
a little bit more.
I like how it asks questions and gives suggestions, and you can just keep fine tuning things. I had to send in a bio for a book contest recently, and almost all my bios and statements are photography geared, and so I needed to rework it and stuff. And I mean, um, it was just amazing, you know. And it made me think of things that I would not have thought of and stuff that I was like, oh yeah, why, so yeah, I was amazed. And it had to be under so many words, like you said, because I get way long-winded.
Yeah, you're a
And
wordsmith.
I was really I was impressed. It helped me a lot to, you know, make my point and make it short and quick.
Kim, what you said about it, it gave you ideas that you hadn't thought about. And I think that that's one of the strengths of ChatGPT, because it helps you see it in a different light. And we can choose to go down that rabbit hole or not, but it helps, when we have our blinders on, which we all do to some degree, it limits us, so that if we get other suggestions and can kind of go, oh, I never thought about that. And then you can kind of think about it and maybe expand your vision a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, I agree with you, Jane. I have a horrible time with naming. Horrible time with naming. What else would you guys like to see in ChatGPT? Who wants me to put something in?
What about asking it, like maybe you've got a piece and you know it speaks something to you, but you want a more creative title, like you want titles around giving energy or just some vague topic like that. Does it work for things like that?
Well, let's do that. Let me pull in an image. Um, let me pull in this image. Let me pull in this image. So, you wanted a more creative? I'm sorry, Wanda, what was that again?
So, for me, like I do
Energy.
a lot of abstract work and maybe I think this piece speaks energy, but I want a more creative title than energy.
Okay, here, let me use this one then. This is even better. This is a newer one than I just did. Although I'm going to go the other direction. Please suggest titles that speak to peace and calm.
Okay.
Oh, how funny. I'm saying funny because the first title is Tranquility, and that's actually what I used for this piece. So yeah, you can do that, or oh, weightless. That's interesting. So yeah, you can kind of come up with some different pieces. If I went, let me just do this really quickly. Do we have time? We've got a few minutes. If I go a few minutes over, is that okay?
Yep. Because it's being recorded, so if someone has to jump off, they can always catch the end on the recording.
Let me come over here. Let me grab this. Let me go to Instagram. Wanda. Where are you? There you are. Let me just Do a screen grab. Okay. It'll actually show my pointer in this one, but that's okay. So the piece that you did, vitality. What else would you like it to say? Like, do you want it to be more energy?
I guess, I think that's the back of it, but let's see what it does.
Okay. Do you want a description as well?
Sure.
Short description related to this piece.
Should you put in that it's a glass sculpture?
Let's see what it does.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you might want to do that because sometimes I've had pieces, particularly with my more abstract pieces, it starts thinking of it as a painting. And if I start seeing that, then I go ahead and put in that it's a photograph for this piece that speaks to, I'm sorry, we're speaking to what?
Well, I called it vitality. We could say energy, whatever you think. We're just seeing what it does. Yeah, that's the back. Oh, interesting titles though.
And look how it said this vibrant glass piece.
Yeah, it did
Yeah,
figure that out.
It did. And there's your description.
And then ask you if you want something more changed to it. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked how I picked up that it was a glass piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not always correct though. You know, whenever you use anything with AI, remember, it isn't always correct. It doesn't hallucinate as much as it used to. It used to just make up all kinds of things. So it's gotten better over time. But like I said, because of the way some of my images are, it often thinks it is a photograph. I mean, a painting, and it's not.
Yeah, I used it one time to create a image for a friend that was not feeling good, and I said, you know, please create an orange kayak and a gray truck. I even said Toyota Tacoma, you know, by the river. And the kayak was actually coming out the windshield of the truck. And
Yeah,
so
image generation, we still see 6 or 7 fingers on one hand, or maybe 3 arms, or yeah.
so you have to,
it's
you can, but you can prompt it. I like that you can say, okay, no, in the bed of the truck or on a rack or, you
mhm,
know, I mean, um, it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
yeah, yeah. Does anybody else want to see something of theirs?
I think this has helped a lot, Barbara, with the giving an idea that you just get in there and you just need to play around, you know, but you can do some serious work with this.
You can.
It'd
You
be
can.
interesting if it ever gets to the point where you could say, critique my website or critique my,
You can.
you can.
You can. You can put in your website and ask for an SEO critique. You can put it in, I mean, you can ask for all sorts of things. You can ask for suggestions. Let me just move this out of the way. You can ask for suggestions of, you know, additional content that you can, or even the layout of your content. You can do all of those things, but yeah, you can actually ask for a critique of your website and different
Well,
aspects of your
that's what we're
website.
doing today, huh, Wanda?
Yeah. We aren't needed anymore, Kim.
But I mean,
that
I'm having
sounds
my
pretty
website.
fantastic. You could draft a email and you know, to mail out, and you could ask it to critique it, not just shorten it or reword it, but critique the voice or anything
Right.
like that.
Right. And you can also, if you can also specify what voice that you want. So, you know, Chat GPT 4.0, the one I'm using and the paid version, it will remember conversations and stuff. And so you can refer back to other conversations. You can also train it to speak in your voice. You know, if you are like Kim, if you wanted to, you could go in and you can create a voice of a chicken, if you will. How would a chicken talk? You know, how would the cows talk? How would the donkeys talk? You know, and so that you can create those different personalities so that when you've done something, you've written, you know, well, I've read the Dandelion book, but you can just say Dandelion is da 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 da. How would this sound like the chicken?
Mm,
You know, or tweak it to sound like the chicken voice or whatever the case may be. So yeah, you
yeah.
can do all of those things.
Yeah, I think there's tons of potential there. Especially with, for me, my interest is in marketing and
Mhm.
getting better at posting on social media and stuff like that. Um, and I think it, like in the free version, what I did when I asked it questions and it gave me answers, I copied and pasted all of that in Word and I
Mhm.
highlighted my questions so I could go back because um, it doesn't always save your conversations in the free version, like where the
Right.
paid version, it really does get to learn you and stuff. But I realized in the free version it did too. It picked up on, you know, my responses and my tweaks and stuff like that. And I do the same thing. I say please and I say thank you. And I started feeling weird because it's like, you know, I'm like, you know, it seemed like you really were talking to, you know, someone else that knew you.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I say please and thank you, or I say, oh, I like that. You know, and um, I do that in part because I would do that if I'm talking to a person. And I
right,
don't want to ever get into the habit of where I might treat a person like I might treat a machine.
right.
You know, so that's just me. You know, it is going to be good morning, good afternoon, good evening, thank you, please, you know, those kinds of things. That's just we don't get enough of that in this world. And so even though it's chatty, it's a machine, uh, you know, I don't care. I don't want to get in the
I
habit
agree.
of, you know, for instance, if I was talking to you, I wouldn't want to just not have those pleasantries, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of things that you can do with this stuff, and I think um, the limit is us, really, in terms of how we're going to do this. And I just want to remind everyone too that I posted a YouTube video in our Best Missouri Hens members group on that a photographer made on how he does deep research for his business using it because there is a research section that it takes a little bit longer. It's not this instantaneous back and forth um, type of thing, but it will give you all kinds of things, you know. So for instance, for the photographers, if you are, especially if you do more landscape nature type photography and you want to research, you know, say some off the beaten um, sites that somebody might not have thought about in Glacier National Park, for instance, you can give it the prompts that you want to go to Glacier National Park in the fall, that you're looking for 10 sites that are not, that are beautiful, but maybe not very popular with tourists going there, that kind of thing. And it can tell you that. It can even help specify in some cases you know, you want to be on the southeast part of this canyon in order to get this. or this is where the sun is likely to set this time of the year, and that kind of thing. You can go really deep. You can also do that with your business, in terms of the things that you want to do to build your business, and who might be my most significant competition in this type of art, or what are the best galleries that will cover that have this kind of art, that cater to clients that like this kind of art. You can do all of that. I really recommend looking at that YouTube video that I posted in the group. So,
When did you post it, Barbara?
a couple
When
weeks ago, maybe?
could you repost it?
Yeah, I will.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, let me make myself a note and I will do that.
All right.
Any other questions? Because I know we've kind of gone a little bit over. I would love to see what you guys do with ChatGPT. Jane, you said you were going to try it. So share in the group what you found and what you did. I think if all of us can start sharing maybe some ideas on prompts, because even if we all use the exact same prompt, we're not going to get the same output.
That's
Wanda,
wild.
if you took your picture and you put it into ChatGPT and you asked for the same kind of, titles that based on, what did we say, energy,
Yeah.
you're going to get something different.
I was in a workshop a couple weeks ago on how to use your iPhone, and they have different topics they have workshops on and stuff. And this one was using AI, and it had everybody in the group put into their chat, um, create a picture of coffee mugs at, a street cafe or something like that. And it was amazing how everybody, because of whatever prompts they'd given chat before, how everybody's images were different, similar but different,
Mm-hmm.
kind of according to their previous,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm.
personality or
Mm-hmm.
character, and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
it definitely
Absolutely.
is evolving constantly and changing, and you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I play around with Midjourney and, more for images like for my blog posts and stuff like that. When my photography isn't good enough, um, or I don't find anything in Canva. And I can put in a prompt and then I can just click a button that says rerun this, rerun this, rerun this, and I'll get something different.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
it's not going to give you the same output.
Right.
So, I mean, there are ways now that you can get consistency. Like if you're like trying to create characters like people who do AI movies, for instance. Um, you can now there's ways to do that kind of consistency, but that's not my thing. So I haven't explored it.
Mm.
Okay. I will repost that
Oh.
video. If there's no other questions, are we done?
Yeah,
Or,
thank you very much,
I-
Barbara. This was very helpful for me because I have not ventured into the space at all.
oh,
So this
Wanda.
gives me some motivation to. I
I'm
mostly wanted to
working on my
help me with my titles because I hate making titles.
I think we all do. It's there's so much around titles. Some people say, oh, just leave it untitled. If you title it, then you're telling the viewer what to look at, and so leave it for the viewer. No, are you going to have untitled 1, 2, 3, 4, 563?
Yeah, sometimes it's fun to just put it out before I've titled it, or even if but I haven't posted it yet, the final one. and just
Mhm.
say, what do you see? Because, as abstract, or that's when you wonder. And sometimes when I do that, I may change my title based on what people respond back to. And I might think, yeah, that's a
Absolutely.
better title than I was thinking.
That's a little bit of market research there, or I've put out stuff before and asked for title suggestions.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually had a card of my cat, she had a mouse in her mouth I took a photo of, and I just labeled it Mouse Trap. That was the name of the card and stuff. And it sold. But I had a customer come in the booth one time, pick that card up and just is laughing hysterically. And I was like, what is it? And she goes, this would be so funny if it said, let's do lunch. She goes, I'd send this to all my girlfriends you know, and I was like, oh man. And so only twice have I ever changed titles after I've created them and stuff. I changed that one. Can't keep it on the shelf. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a bestseller, and it's not for everybody. I mean, I've had people see that picture and walk out of my booth, but you know, 99% of the people love it and they think the title is,
That's a
so,
great title. That's a
so
great title. And, it's a conversation piece right then
yeah,
and there.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't
maybe
have
in
thought about let's do lunch. I like the mousetrap too, but let's do lunch is,
and the prompt in AI, you could say, make this a cat, give me 10 catchy titles or 10 funny titles or, things like that. So I mean, you definitely this has been a great workshop, Barbara. Appreciate
thank
you
you.
jogging our,
Thank you.
you know, our creativity and letting us know that it's okay to, like you said, AI is here to stay, and it's better for us to make it our friend, instead of being
Well, it is.
frustrated by every,
And especially it can
yeah,
help you.
yeah,
It doesn't have to
yeah.
be, this is not your enemy. I think it can help us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Really
you.
cool.
Eh, I want to
Thank you
let
very
everybody
much. I
know.
appreciate your information.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Thank you for joining us. She said thank you for the information.
Oh, okay.
And I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Next month, our workshop, instead of the second Tuesday, it'll be the third Tuesday, which I think is August 19th. And Juried Best Mizrahan, another photographer, Carol Esty, is going to be talking with us about uh, photosynthesis. Is that right? Printing of photos with light and stuff like that. She uses leaves and all kinds of things. So that'll be our topic next month. So
Oh, that'll be a good one.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for being here, everybody. And this was recorded, and so it will go up on the YouTube channel if you want to rewatch. Barbara's going to put the video on the Best Mizrahan member only page and a copy of the handout too. So
It will.